She had all the favors that she was pulling in, and she had a ton of money behind her, and they were completely arrogant, and all the liberal elite in the media thought there was no chance that she was going to lose. She's 95% shoe-in to win the presidency, and she walked around like she was 95%.
She already thought she won.
Let's say it all does go pear-shaped. November 18th, 2016, and for whatever reason, it's President-elect Donald Trump. In that circumstance, is Hillary Clinton moving to Canada?
First of all, I do not.
Forget everything you think you know about political smackdowns, because this one starts where the script usually ends. Imagine Joe Rogan casually dropping a comment so sharp it sends Hillary Clinton's entire legacy into a silent reboot. No shouting, no theatrics, just pure, unfiltered Rogan dismantling her, like she accidentally stepped onto his mat during sparring. This isn't a debate, it's a comedic autopsy. You'll replay it just to be sure he actually said that. Buckle up, this gets weird fast.
It's one of those things where women want a woman to be president so bad. They want one for the team so bad. And then there's so many people from the left that think she has the best chance of beating Trump or whoever is on the right. They're willing to exonerate her from so many different horrendous things. One of the things I always point out, like, people want to talk progressive, being left-wing, and she didn't even believe in gay marriage until 2013. Yeah, she really did say that.
Yeah, she really did say that after she just got done Gaddafi and then laughed about it.
We came, we saw, he died.
We came, we saw, he died. The fact that any human being would ever do that. By the way he died, that's some dark.
Now picture this. Joe Rogan leans forward like a man who just heard Hillary Clinton reboot her political ambitions again. It hits him the same way old leftovers hit a microwave. Loud, messy, and somehow more dramatic than anyone asked for. He shakes his head, wondering how she keeps popping back into the news cycle, the way malfunctioning software won't stop asking for updates.
You would see, like, is Hillary Clinton a criminal? You would find Donald Trump criminal. The Donald Trump criminal crop. You wouldn't find things on Hillary Clinton.
You look at Hillary. She uses the phrase "handmaiden to the patriarchy," which I think she means she's bashing Monica Lewinsky. I'm not sure.
You had to keep digging and digging and digging. If you wanted to find positive things on Hillary Clinton, you could find them quite easily. If you wanted to find positive things on Donald Trump, you wouldn't find anything.
Well, let me first say, I cannot diagnose Donald Trump. I don't know Donald Trump, but I would say that someone who spends time creating a very grandiose view of themselves.
And it was on purpose. They were doing this. And that through this, they...
If you are enjoying this takedown, please hit that subscribe button. Every time Hillary steps back into the spotlight, it feels like the universe whispering, "You thought this was over? Absolutely not." Rogan can't wrap his head around how one person can generate this much political deja vu without setting off some kind of national recall. Again, he starts breaking down Hillary's decision-making like it's a malfunctioning navigation system, constantly recalculating, always lost, yet completely convinced it's right, even when it calmly directs you straight into a lake.
Jamie, go to that Hillary Clinton thing that I texted you today. This one is wild.
We do not think the comprehensive health care benefits should be extended to those who are undocumented workers and illegal aliens. We do not want to do anything to encourage more illegal immigration into this country. We know now that too many people come in for medical care as it is. We certainly don't want them having the same benefits that American citizens are entitled to have.
How about that? More MAGA than Trump.
And then you couldn't believe you watched.
He says her political instincts run on the same technology as old school flip phones that took 3 full minutes just to load a text message. She's always prepared, always rehearsed, and somehow still shocked when things don't go her way. Rogan laughs, picturing her internal monologue buffering in the middle of a conversation, like her brain is busy loading the safest possible response from a database of pre-approved phrases.
That's why I give Americans a lot of credit. If you listen to Europeans talk, but they're always marveling at how quote-unquote dumb Americans are. I don't think Americans are dumb, and I think Americans in a lot of ways are very fair-minded too.
Well, there's that, but there's also the fact that there's a two-party system where if you are on the left, you have to support whoever's on the left. That's why all these people are lining up to support Hillary Clinton. And ignoring left and right all the crazy evidence against her just being completely full of shit.
Here's the kicker. Rogan goes in on how Hillary always seems to be gearing up for an election, even when there isn't one anywhere in sight. He says she walks into rooms scanning for voters, like she's stuck inside a first-person campaign simulator. Even when she claims she's finished, she still moves like a politician waiting for a drum roll. Rogan jokes that she probably practices concession speeches in the mirror just to stay sharp, and the moment a camera comes on, her smile resets, like she just installed the latest update of Political Optics 2.0.
is going on? Like, I was infuriated when people that I knew that I was friends with were trying to tell me that Hillary Clinton was a good choice. And that's the same choice. I'm like, look, I don't know if she's murdered people, but I know that I worry that she's murdered people. That's a real. I really wonder. Like this Seth Rich shit.
I know. First of all, just leave. You don't even need to go there. You know,
there's so many other things.
Imagine the chaos. Rogan breaks down how Hillary handles scandals with the calm of someone quietly clearing their browser history while acting like nothing ever happened. He says her controversies always feel like long, multi-season dramas stretched out over years, each one stuffed with plot twists that sound like they were written by interns running on zero sleep. If there's a simple explanation available, Hillary somehow turns it into a full political Netflix series. Rogan jokes that she survives public criticism with the durability of office furniture, rigid, unchanged, and somehow still standing long after everyone else has checked out. Now, here's where it gets ridiculous. Rogan describes Hillary's charisma as a flickering light bulb, sometimes bright, sometimes dim, always making you wonder if it's time to call maintenance. He says she talks like someone giving a deposition during happy hour. Every word measured, every sentence tightly controlled, with a constant fear it might be misread. When she tries to relate to people, it feels like a corporate training video explaining teamwork. Overly scripted, mildly uncomfortable, and unintentionally funny. Rogan jokes that she has a gift for overcomplicating things so intensely even mathematicians would get headaches. A simple situation turns into a 20-hour strategy meeting filled with charts, graphs, and 17 advisors arguing in different directions. He says her political tactics feel like a spy thriller written by someone who's never met a spy, where every move is treated like it could end the world, even when she's just greeting a crowd.
Different animal. See, like, if you get into some sort of verbal altercation with Joe Biden, there's no concern for your life. Like, I'm not saying it's real or not, but the rumor is always, there's a thing called
Joe
the Clinton
Biden
body
is like,
count.
yeah, Joe
I mean, I
Biden
don't know
is
if
like
that's
Uncle
real.
Joe.
I don't think it is real. It's probably some of it, most of it, let's say it's all made up. The fact that that's out there, that the thought is out there, that they will whack you.
Well, there's, I mean, the people who are saying, hey, look, you know, there are lists that are kept and your political career will be over. That was really the message that I got from people who've been around the block a few.
Here's the punchline. Rogan imagines Hillary walking into a debate with enough preparation to run NASA, yet still stumbling over the simplest question like it never made it into the script. She has notes, backup notes, and emergency notes for the backup notes, and still reacts as if the question arrived from another dimension. It's like she downloaded too many debate tactics and her mental hard drive can't run all the programs at once. Rogan says that every time she's asked something unexpected, you can almost hear the internal processing noise kicking in. Now picture the meltdown. Rogan goes after Hillary's public persona, saying she delivers speeches with the raw enthusiasm of someone explaining tax deductions to a brick wall. She could announce earth-shaking news and still sound like she's reading parking regulations. He jokes that if she ever spoke naturally, the teleprompter might file a complaint for abandonment. Rogan says she treats interviews like courtroom interrogations, choosing every word with the caution of someone crossing a frozen lake with a thin crack running through it. She's so rehearsed that even her pauses feel programmed, and when she tries to relax, it looks like a robot discovering emotions for the first time. Rogan imagines her practicing smiles in a mirror like a lab experiment, adjusting angles until her face finally meets the official definition of approachable.
I always point out, like, people want to talk progressive. You want to talk, you know, being left wing, and she didn't even believe in gay marriage until 2013.
The best part was she was on NPR, which is this far right fringe organization, right? NPR, Terry Gross, and Terry Gross says, you used to be against gay marriage. You know, your husband passed DOMA, which made it a federal law that gay marriage won't be recognized by the federal government, and you changed your position. Like, how did that happen? Was it because Americans became... And Hillary's like, well, America changed their point of view. She goes, no, I understand Americans changed their point of view. What was your mental process? And she goes, no, Terry, you're saying that I changed my mind for political purposes, and that's not true, and
Twist. Rogan goes after her adaptability, saying Hillary can weather political storms, but can't hold a normal conversation without sounding like she's negotiating a treaty. She adjusts to voters the way someone recalibrates a thermostat, slowly, cautiously, and with a dozen unnecessary steps. Every attempt to seem relatable comes off like performance art, stiff posture, awkward humor, and pop culture references performances that feel like they were researched 5 minutes before walking on stage. Rogan takes aim at Hillary's obsession with image control, saying she micromanages her own persona like she's editing a group project no one else worked on. Everything is calculated. The hand gestures, the tone, the wardrobe, even the angle of her head. And when something goes wrong, because something always does, she reacts with the same look as someone realizing they left the stove on. Rogan imagines her political machine as a massive, lumbering bureaucracy powered by stale coffee and old campaign slogans. Every move needs 17 approvals, 3 memos, and someone shouting, "We need to pivot," in the hallway. It's outdated software pretending to be cutting edge. Rogan says if Hillary ever had to make a truly spontaneous decision, the whole system would shut down just to install critical updates.
It doesn't mean that Hillary would have been a good choice either. She was a terrible choice. She's a corrupt politician, one of the most unlikable people that's ever run for office.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
They were trying to get people supporting her just because she's a woman. This is going to be her history. You know, women, ladies, I stand with her. So there's all these women that have this blind allegiance towards this career politician. It's completely full of shit. She's been full of shit forever.
Now take this in. Rogan compares Hillary's presence to a Windows Update pop-up. Persistent, unavoidable, and showing up at the worst possible moment. Even when you're sure you've closed it, it reappears 5 minutes later asking if you're absolutely certain. She may not be running. She may insist she's finished, yet there she is again, talking, advising, appearing, resurfacing. Rogan says she would survive a political apocalypse through pure determination and a complete inability to recognize the word finished. He describes her ongoing relevance like a house guest who keeps saying they're about to leave, then finds a new reason to stay another week. She shows up at events, panels, and interviews, always perfectly timed, always perfectly polished, and always answering questions no one actually asked. Then it gets theatrical. Rogan imagines her returning to politics with dramatic music, fog machines, and a full production crew because subtlety simply isn't part of her wiring. She'd walk out smiling like it's her moment all over again, armed with a binder full of plans, a PowerPoint presentation, and years of pent-up readiness. Rogan wraps it up by saying Hillary Clinton will always be the political equivalent of a cliffhanger ending, unfinished, unresolved, and mysteriously returning every few seasons whether the audience wants it or not. He laughs and shakes his head because no matter how many times she steps back, she always finds a way to step forward again, like the world's most determined sequel.
If you watch the conversation between James Comey, when James Comey testified about what he did and what they found with the Hillary Clinton emails, and then her version of it, she's just a straight liar. She deleted 33,000 emails.
When I got to work as Secretary of State, I opted for convenience to use my personal email account, which was allowed by the State Department, because I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of two. Looking back, it would have been better if I'd simply used a second email account and carried a second phone, but at the time, this didn't seem like an issue.
Picture the return swing. Rogan leans back in his chair like he's watching a glitch loop in real time, saying Hillary Clinton has an uncanny ability to move through scandal the way seasoned fighters move through punches, without flinching. He says she absorbs criticism like a bunker absorbs explosions, completely silent, completely unfazed, leaving everyone else wondering why the ground never shook. Rogan jokes that if resilience were a superpower, Hillary's origin story would involve a lab accident, 12 hearings, and a deleted email server glowing ominously in the background. She's the kind of person who could walk straight through a political hurricane and only stop to adjust her posture. Rogan riffs on how Hillary tries to appear spontaneous with the same comfort level as someone skydiving while holding a parachute manual in one hand and a calculator in the other. When she tries to be relatable, he says it's like watching a billionaire attempt to bond with shoppers at a grocery store. It's not that she can't do it, it's that she's playing on expert mode with the wrong controller. Even her jokes feel like they were workshopped by a focus group that didn't laugh, just nodded politely. Rogan imagines Hillary advising younger politicians with the certainty of someone who believes politics is a chess match played on a rotating table in a burning room. She hands out guidance like ancient scrolls, packed with wisdom but buried under riddles and footnotes. Every piece of advice, he says, sounds forged in the fires of campaign losses and diplomatic brinkmanship. Hillary's mentorship, Rogan jokes, must feel like sitting through a TED Talk delivered by a history book that learned how to speak speak English yesterday.
It's the Clinton speaking fee. Like, no one wants to hear Hillary Clinton speak. Nobody ever has wanted to hear her speak. But if she's getting $400 grand from Goldman Sachs doesn't need to say, hey, by the way, you're going to get speaking fees.
Exactly.
She knows it.
That was why during the Trump debates with Clinton, he was like, release the transcripts of those speeches.
And what is the transcript? Hey, guys, do we really need to be here, or can I go home?
You know what I want. I want you guys to make money.
Will you agree to release these transcripts? They have become an issue.
Sure, if everybody does it, and that includes the Republicans, because we know they have made a lot of speeches. But look, what is this about? This is about whether I have the best plan to go after Wall Street, whether I have a record that already demonstrates my willingness to take on Wall Street and financial interests, and there's no...
Imagine the absurdity. Rogan explains that Hillary approaches interviews with reporters the way someone prepares to negotiate with a rogue nation. Every response is calibrated, filtered, polished, and sanitized. She doesn't really answer questions so much as deploy carefully crafted statements. Rogan jokes that she sounds like someone always on the verge of revealing a government secret, then suddenly remembering the cameras are still rolling. Even casual conversation feels classified, complete with clearance levels attached. Every word is intentional. Every phrase signals something. It's like she permanently lives behind a podium. Rogan says if you ever took Hillary out for coffee, she'd accidentally turn it into a press conference. She'd analyze the temperature, the cup, the setting, the espresso to water ratio. Us then deliver a full assessment, list 3 key takeaways, and wrap it up with, "We'll be monitoring this closely." Not even caffeine would loosen her up. Rogan imagines her inner circle working like a medieval round table, everyone whispering strategies, reading polls like omens, and treating every public appearance as if it were a royal decree. Her advisors probably speak in hushed tones about optics, engagement numbers, and who forgot to double check the latest speech draft. Rogan jokes that her team must live in constant fear of being blamed for any misstep, real or imagined. If a balcony curtain moves the wrong way during a photo op, someone is drafting an apology memo by morning.
I think they had some crazy odds of Hillary winning. It was like in the 90%. And we watched it from the Comedy Store. We did a podcast from the Comedy Store called the End of the World podcast. What was most fascinating was the podcast was over and then we all went to the bar, and on the television, Jake Tapper was just seriously bummed out, talking about Trump winning all these different states.
It is remarkable what we're seeing here, not just Ohio, but all over the country.
I think for a lot of people, that was the end of trust in mainstream media. That was the first nail in the coffin. Those to be like, you guys didn't, you were...
The extended finale goes like this. Rogan launches into a story, imagining Hillary spotting a news camera across the street and instantly switching into campaign mode. Version 3.0, shoulders back, smile calibrated, tone optimized. He says she's the only person who can shift from casual to formal in 0.4 seconds without pulling a muscle. Her public persona snaps into place like a tactical helmet. Rogan jokes that if a camera startled her in her sleep, she'd instinctively deliver a 3-minute policy breakdown before fully waking up. Rogan then zeroes in on Hillary's uncanny ability to stay politically adjacent no matter which way the wind blows. He says she's like a shadow in the corner of every political room, never the main character, but always visible, always waiting, always watching, even when she isn't running. She lingers at the edge of the stage like someone who already knows the plot twists. Rogan says she doesn't need a campaign to stay relevant. She simply materializes in the conversation through pure persistence. She's the political version of an app that keeps reinstalling itself after you delete it. You think it's gone, but by morning it's back, updated, patched, optimized, and ready to relaunch.